January 20th, 2023. This is the 2000 tick chart of the Emini SPY on the Thinkorswim platform, Paper Trader. So this is what the price action looked like today. In the pre-market, it just kind of chopped around in this range, opened, kind of stayed in this range, came down, tested the lows, and then it just took off. There was a consolidation toward the center and a consolidation toward the end of the day. So this is what my chart looks like, drawn out. I'll go through it, go through my trades. And today, again, I kind of got a little antsy and I broke a couple of rules by not being patient. So hopefully going forward, when I look back on these trade videos one day and try to learn from them, I'll have improved and actually take less trades, but more profitable ones. I had about 5 winning trades and 3 losing trades. I actually took about 8 different trades. And the last one was just trying something out. I knew I was on the paper trader and I wanted to try something out, so I don't really count it in my percentages of winning or losing. So let's go in. So here's the market open on regular trading hours. This is the close of the previous day. So as you can see in the pre-market, it just kind of chopped around. Again, I don't trade in the pre-market just because I'm not available. And so you see the trades kind of move along. And at the open, it kind of just starts trending down. And so I drew this trend line to kind of see where everything was. And it hits this consolidation. So when these candles meet, I drew this one, and then I also drew at the top. And I just saw that I was in this trading range. I didn't take any trades, just still watching, being patient. And then it suddenly starts kind of creeping up, breaks out of the trading range, breaks through the EMA. Still, there's no trades for me yet. Kind of works along. It's respecting the EMA. So here, I see it makes a new high. It's a first entry long. And then right here, it looks like it's about to make a second entry long. It does. I didn't take this trade, though, because it's kind of in the middle of this trading range. Overall, this has been bouncing back and forth. So I wasn't super confident in taking this trade because I didn't know if my only range to get out would be here. And I didn't want to risk it not hitting or just getting stopped out. So I didn't take that trade. Keeps moving up. At this point, okay, this is a larger trading range that I don't have drawn yet. So I'm just going to kind of pull it out of the way. And actually this one and this one, they don't exist yet. So I don't have any guidelines at this point except for these smaller trend channels. So it breaks out of this trading range, goes up, makes a new high, and at this point I was pretty sure it might come back down because I wasn't sure if it was going to make a new leg up. It comes down, it touches the EMA, bounces back up, and then breaks through again. So here I'm just kind of sitting on my hands. I'm not really sure what's going on. That's okay. And then it kind of breaks up and moves out. So here it broke through this day's trading range that I've established in the pre-market and also the low also established in the pre-market. And it kind of moves upwards. Right here you can consider a second entry long, but it's too far from the EMA, so I don't like that. Continues down. So at this point I do draw this trend line because I have 2 points that I can kind of base it off of. I drew this early on, probably when this formed, and then I extended it up. So it might have been a little bit loosey, maybe this way or this way, but I ended up kind of planting it there so it would touch these guys, and then I drew the top one. But remember, this one doesn't exist yet. So I'm just going to kind of move it out of the way. Well, I'll just leave it there actually. So this one still is the dominant one. This one doesn't exist yet, and you'll see it come into play later. It moves up. So right here, I see this first entry short, there's a second entry short, but I don't want to take it yet because the overall trend's going up. So this would be a counter trend trade, which I don't want to take, too high risk, but it's also a hidden second entry long. So how do I think it's a hidden second entry long? Second entry long because this is the first high. This makes a first entry long, and then I considered because it opens here, breaks down, and then the next one opens here. So it's like down and up, first entry long, then down again and up, second entry long. It's also a failed second entry short because this is where the second entry short triggers, comes all the way down, doesn't want to hold below the EMA, comes up. It doesn't close above the EMA, so I wouldn't have taken it here, but then I don't know if I would have taken it here as well. So I left that trade alone, but it's just good to know and for me to see. So maybe in the future, if I see it enough times, I'll have a better idea of what to do. Maybe it would have been the same thing, just don't do anything. So here I see another high, and now it's confirming this top trend line because earlier I think I might have had it down here and had that as a overshoot. But then seeing that it comes up, I had a second swing at the top side and I have three swings on the bottom side. One, two, and then three. And actually I was talking to the wrong one. I had one, two, and then three slight overshoot. So I see a second entry long here, and that's one I did take. First entry long, second entry long. However, this one ended up not working, so I already had a losing trade. Now I figured since it came off the EMA, it was safe enough to take, but you can see right here, I entered at 38.25, which is right here. 38.25, one tick above, right? So I wanted I wanted to get in above this guy and then one tick above, which is 38.25. It moves up. I thought it was a good trade off the EMA. It's in this bigger range. I thought it might have been worth a shot, but as you're going to see, it ends up being a losing trade. I get stepped out. It touches this bottom and then keeps going down. So at this point, this is the dominant trading range going up. It looks like it might still be in a trading range, but so far it looks like it broke out and might make a move up. I don't know what the rest of the day looks like at this point, so it keeps chopping around and it does move up. So I draw this second trend line. Let me just get this out of the way. And it keeps moving up. I'm watching it carefully, and it looks like it consolidates here. There's no entries there, no trades there. Sitting on my hands, trying to be patient, getting a little anxious because I already took a loss right there. Moves along, consolidates again in this other trading range. So I'm still waiting, trying to be patient. Another trading range. Finally, it breaks down, right? So this is what this looked like at the time. So I was using this as a trading range, but then I also thought, well, okay, this might have been played out, so there could be another one coming into play. So that's where I ended up drawing this big guy. Because I like the top touches here, and then you're going to see this bottom stuff's going to come into play in a little bit. Let's see here. Let me get rid of this guy. It's actually, I think I put him right here. So it actually touches below 3 times. I liked it at that point. So I had two competing trend lines at one point, and this one terminates, and this one kind of looked better as it kept going. And then you're going to notice we're in a big choppy zone. So here, I took my second trade, which was not a wise trade in hindsight. So I saw this, saw it come down. It looks like a spike, and it's starting into a channel. So I saw here as like a potential first entry long and a second entry long. But I don't like this because I know it's in trading channel. Then it comes up, it comes down. I saw a lower high. It's like, okay, well, maybe it's going to actually shoot up past this. But according to price action rules, I should have just left this alone, mainly because it's in a trading range. It doesn't have enough information yet. Plus, the EMA is horizontal. I took this trade. I got burned. Second losing trade of the day. Lesson learned. I should have just left it alone. But then, just a couple of minutes later on this candle, it's a failed second entry long. So failed second entry long, I saw it here, excuse me, failed second entry short. It's a first entry short, second entry short. Again, it made it a failure on the short. However, it's too flat. I should have left this trade alone. It ends up working for me. So it's my first trade of 3 that actually got positive. So it was actually very lucky because the setup isn't clean. So here's the short, or here's the long that I took, and then I got stopped out. Then I took failed second entry short, and then I was able to scalp out and take some profits. But as I said, in hindsight, it was not a good trade. This area is too choppy, EMA is too flat, it should be a no trade zone. So we keep trucking along. At this time, it's super flat. I know that now. Too late though, already lost the trade. I see this as a breakout failure and a second entry short. Here I was okay with taking a trade because actually this was probably a little bit lower at one point, and then I eventually dragged it up, and I saw it as a breakout. I did think this candle was reasonable to take, so I saw as two potential indicators to go down, even though it did make a new high. The risk is it is counter trend because the overall trend of the market is trending upward in a bullish way. So this is riskier for sure. I don't know if I should have taken that in hindsight. So I ended up taking it. It ended up working. So I was like 2 wins, 2 losses. Granted, this one was also kind of a dicey trade to have taken because I'm also coming right into the EMA. But I did take it, and we'll see how that. I just have to see that more play out more often in the future. Keeps moving long. So here it shoots down. I try to see if there's a measured move. I draw this guy and then I draw the second arrow. And lo and behold, this is actually a measured move. So this is actually a gigantic second entry long from here because you don't have any break higher till here. First entry long comes up. You could count this as a second entry long, but I grouped this together because it's double top. Comes down right here would have been where I would have entered. But since I took 2 winning trades, 2 losing trades, I was trying to be a little more disciplined. This did make a lower low, so I don't know if this trading range would have been enough for this to price for the price to actually move all the way back up. So I skipped this trade, but it ended up working if I did take it, but I didn't. Then I also saw a second entry short here. Again, I'm not too keen on the second entry short because it went one tick below, but then it's a failure because it didn't really fail quite yet, but it went back reversed, and then it would have failed when it broke above the EMA, and that also would have been a second entry long from here. If you count it from here, goes down, first entry long, second entry long. But I, again, didn't take it, but I did see it. I wasn't quite sure because it's also coming right into this trading range. I don't know if it would have rejected because it broke down lower before, but it was competing with the overall narrative of a very strong trading day that's bullish. So again, I'm not experienced enough to interpret which one would dominate at that point. So I just left it alone. And it ended up working, would have worked. Goes up, consolidates again, goes up, consolidates again. But now we're in the big trading range that I established from earlier on. I like all these touches. It's not the best trend line, not the weakest, not the best fitting one, but for me it worked. Breaks out of this trading range, goes up, and so here I see a second entry short. So this is actually a very, very bad setup because I saw a second entry short here, but I took it from here. So I said, okay, new low, second entry short, first entry short, second entry short. There is no reason for me to count this as a new low because why didn't I count it down here? There's no real indication. It actually should have went below this very definitively for me to start the count, but I didn't. So I ended up taking this trade foolishly because I also thought, well, it's touching the top of this range here. I should take this trade. And oh, I take it back. It actually worked, but there was a really a good indication that it was a second entry short because if I took it from here, what's to say I didn't take it from here? But I take it back. The trade worked, but in hindsight, I think I should be more careful. There's also a lower high here, which I saw, but I didn't take. Here, I saw a failed second entry long. So here, if you start to count as this is the new high, you have a first entry long here, comes along, then you have a second entry long here. I did take this trade because at the time I said it's going to break above the EMA. This is probably going to be worth it. It jumps around, and I was lucky. Excuse me. Let me step back. I saw it as a failed second entry long because I saw first entry long, second entry long. And here I thought, okay, I got in early. This is foolish of me to do. I took a short, and of course I got burned. If I had waited a little bit longer, I would have seen more price action, and then this lower high forms. So this second entry long really was valid. The second entry long being valid, I did, when I got stopped out, I took a long position here. That's why it shows 6 contracts instead of 3, because 3 covered this one, and then I reversed the position, got 3 on top of it. But this isn't necessarily a safe entry because I'm technically in a trading range. So I don't know. This is also near the very high of the day at that point. But I decided to take it. It moves up, and I was lucky that it moves up and I was able to get out. And in hindsight, that wasn't the best idea. It was a little choppy. Just like yesterday, I got a little impatient, didn't quite wait for the right high probability setups. I just waited for a setup. And I think seeing that and not taking enough trades made me think, well, obviously it's there. And that's more indicative of me being a rookie to this new strategy. And also, I haven't seen enough to know to be more patient. So that will come with time. And then the price action keeps moving up. It for sure broke out of this trading range. I'm sure there might have been a better curve, but I didn't want it to be too wide because if it was too wide, then I have no idea because I'd only have one touch here, let's say. And then if I drew it all the way up here, that's kind of the first touch. If I drew it down here, it still looked like it kind of broke out. So at that point, I just kind of settled on this being kind of this ugly, not as clean trading range, but it was being respected in some regard. So I did take a second entry long here. So this isn't that obvious, but there's a first entry long, then a second entry long here. So it looked like it spiked down, went in, went past the EMA, but since the day has been so bullish, I figured the trend will likely continue because it's so strong today. So I took the trade right at this arrow, not right where the second entry long is, but where the arrow is, because I wanted to see it go above the EMA. And this trading range at this point didn't exist yet. So I was just playing off of this. I think I had a downward trend channel, but I didn't fit quite well. So I just kind of visually looked at it. So second entry long, didn't take the trade, entered on this arrow, and it ended up working out. So I took this arrow, was able to get my scalp, and then was able to get my runner, but runner got stopped out early. So as price came back down and touched here, then I realized, okay, the trading range looks like it's kind of establishing. And there's a lot of trading ranges today, even if they were short. And then I kind of just watched it move along. Saw second entry long here, decided not to take it. It's too late in the day. And then the market just kind of kept going up and closed. I did see two measured moves, but this is very close to the end of the day where things can get really crazy and dicey. So I didn't take any more trades after that. In hindsight, these videos have been pretty good to kind of keep my notes detailed on what I saw. So ideally in the future, as I keep practicing and trading more, that's why I'm on the paper trader, the number of entries I take should go down because there cannot be this many high probability setups, especially if they're that bunched up together. Most likely I saw what I wanted to see, convinced myself it was a high probability setup or something worth taking, and then I took it. And if they worked just because by chance it worked and not because I took a high probability setup. So I'm working on that. I'm also working on my own mental capacity not to get impatient waiting because when I took this trade, I took a loss. And the first reaction that I had was I need to get this back right now. But had I tried to trade in this area, it would have been a very, very risky endeavor. Like if I took a short, it might have worked out. If I took a long, I probably would have got stopped out. In the end, it would have just built up really bad habits that I'd have to undo later. So it's the end of the trading week, and it was pretty interesting day. I know I've left some good trades out there, and then I took quite a few bad trades. But overall, I got 5 wins and 3 losses, and then one trade I was just trying something out, which I won't really mention because it was more just to see if I could do it on the platform and not really a setup that was good or bad. So that's how I saw the charts today. Hopefully it helps. It's going to help me.